What is going on, my people? Welcome back. You're listening to the Introverted Nerd Watches. I, of course, am Reese, and I am back for some more of The Gifted. I freaking love this show. Just in case it wasn't clear, I love it. And this week was a more quiet episode of The Gifted. Not a ton of action, but all the feelings, just all of the feelings, all up in my heart. If I actually experienced human emotion, I would have shed a tear or two. Because, that's the kind of episode this was. We get a lot of backstory on Lorna. You know, we get to see little Lorna in this. See how she grew up. Lorna and Marcos see each other again, and they got to give their daughter away for safety's purpose. A lot of that going on. A lot of the family stuff going on. A lot of daddy issues in this episode too. Everybody's got a daddy issue. Reed, Lorna, Lauren, kinda. So yeah, that's what this episode was. Feelings, daddy issues, and I enjoyed all of it. Or I enjoyed most of it. I'll tell you what I didn't like so much. But before I get into it, let me tell you that you need to subscribe to the podcast because I said so. And I tell you this every episode. You should do what I say. Much like Lauren and Blink on this show, everybody should be listening to Lauren and Blink. You all should be listening to me when I tell you what to do. You should do it because I'm always right. I'm right most of the time. Saying I'm always right is just me being like, a bit over the top, but I'm right most of the time. I would never lead you wrong. Is my point. So go subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And while you're there, rate and review the podcast for me. You can also listen on Spotify and Stitcher. Do what I do and listen on Castbox if you have an Android like me. I'm still depressed about that. I want my freaking iPhone back. I'm trying to be a responsible adult. And not pay those iPhone prices. But I mean, I have everything else in my life is Apple. The computer I'm recording on right now, my Mac, my laptop is a Mac. I have an iPad that I'm taking my notes on, that I'm reading off of right this second. I need an iPhone. I just don't want to pay for it. So if anybody wants to give me a free iPhone, I'm always accepting gifts. That is that's my tagline. I'm always accepting gifts. I can't guarantee that I will give you anything in return, but I will always accept a gift. So let's get into The Gifted, season 2, episode 8, The dreaM. I freaking love this because, okay, before we get into the episode, let me just talk about the title because if you listen to my other podcast about Black Lightning, you know that damn near every week I complain about how long the title of those episodes are because they do the title is so long in Black Lightning that they get into like semicolons and colons, and it's just a whole bunch of bullshit that doesn't need to be there. And on The Gifted, the thing that's like consistent through every episode, they did it in the first season, they're doing it in this season, is that they capitalize the M in each episode title. So in every episode title, there is an M in there, and the M is the only letter that's capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. And I'm wondering how long they can do this. Like, this is fun to me, like a game. Like, okay, what's the title going to be next? It's going to have an M in it. Like, how are they going to make that fit into whatever the episode is about? So this is not something that you care about unless you're like a podcaster or you're like really into I don't know, The Gifted. I guess if you're listening to me, you're probably really into The Gifted, but I don't know. This is probably just only something that I care about. So I will stop boring you with my silly observations and get into the episode. And this is called The Dream, and everybody in this episode, I was thinking about it and I was like, how does it fit for everybody? Because it fits for some people. It fits for some people in the episode, like Lorna, or it's more obvious for characters like Lorna or John. You know, they have this dream about what things are supposed to be like. But I think everybody in the episode, you sort of see, you sort of get a glimpse of what their dream is, you know, how they want to live their lives. So yeah, I think it makes sense. It fits for everybody. So who should I get into first? The Struckers. Yeah. No, let's do Lorna. The inner circle first, not Lorna. And the inner circle, because there's not much of the inner circle in this episode. Riva, when we pick up the episode from where last week ended. So we're watching the getaway car, basically. We're watching Lorna, Andy, and Rebecca in a getaway car. Riva and the other two cuckoos are missing. They're MIA right now. Nobody knows where they are. I don't think they're in contact with anybody. And we see back at their base, the inner circle's base, that Esme and the computer chick are trying to get in contact with them. And we see from fairly early on that shit is just hectic. Rebecca kills those people. You hear, police sirens all around. We're seeing news reports that it's just basically chaos everywhere. Like Rebecca killing those people, Riva robbing the bank has just set off. It's just this chain reaction of just everybody has gone crazy. So Lorna basically tells Rebecca she ain't shit and kicks her out of the car. And Rebecca seemed genuinely shocked that she was being kicked out of the car, because what Lorna actually tells her is that she doesn't belong there. And that's what, shocks Rebecca, and it makes her want to leave. She gives Andy a hug and she, twists her way out of the car and turns the car door around. It's like, okay, Rebecca, I get it. You could have just opened the door though. I mean, you would have gotten the same result if you just get out and slam the car door. But she has to be a teenager, so she had to like twist everything around so the door is on the door is turned inside out. I appreciate it. I guess if I had mutant powers, I would just be using those things all over the place. No matter what it was, the smallest thing, I would just be like, do I have to use my powers? No, but I can, so I will. So, but poor little Andy, he is like, Rebecca is still defending herself to Lorna. Lorna is basically, freaking out on her. Like, what the fuck was your problem? How could you kill all those people? And Rebecca is still defending herself, saying, were we really going to leave those people there? Those humans there, they're part of our suffering. Like, how could we leave them there and not punish them? And she still doesn't get it. And when Lorna tells her that she doesn't belong there, she seems genuinely like shocked that she's being told that she doesn't belong. And I was surprised by that. Because Rebecca in this episode, I think we see Rebecca's dream. I think her dream is to belong with others, her fellow mutants. Her dream is to belong with, to feel welcome with them, to belong with them, to feel welcomed by them. And she thought she found that with Riva. obviously, after she killed all those people, that's not the case. Everybody is not down with the Rebecca way of doing things. But I also get a different view of her because later in the episode, when she's talking to John and Blink, and she's explaining the situation from her point of view, she seems like she's scared of Reva. She tells John and Blink that she tells them to stop following her and that they need to stay away from the inner circle because they don't know what they're getting themselves into. And she seems like she's genuinely trying to warn them. She was ready and willing to defend herself against them and to, kill them if she had to. But it wasn't it wasn't what she was there to do. It wasn't like she wanted to hurt them. It wasn't like she was going to take pleasure in killing them. And that is different. My opinion of her this week is different than my opinion of her from the last episode, because in the last episode, when she kills those people, she smiles, and she's happy, and she seems happy about it. And so my thing was like, okay, she's like a sociopath. She's just there as an agent of chaos. She just wants to hurt people. That's not the feeling I get in this episode. So yeah. Different view of Rebecca. And I like that. I like that she's not just crazy for crazy's sake. She's not just there to cause trouble. Obviously, she is going to cause a lot of trouble because she has a different idea of how things are supposed to be than Reva or the underground or, whoever else. But she's not just she's not just a crazy person like I've been saying, like I've been joking about, because I say every week, like, Andy, you in danger, girl, because Rebecca's a fucking nut. I joke about that, but if I'm going to take it seriously for a few seconds, she definitely has serious mental health issues. Like, she needs help. She was in that facility. She was one of the people that seemed to have genuinely needed to be in that facility, and she needed help. But obviously she wasn't getting help. She was being, abused and tortured. So, and that it most definitely added to the problems that she already had. Because she killed her family. Like, I'm not forgetting that. She murdered her family. So who knows what happened with her and her family. Maybe we'll get, maybe one week that'll be like a cold open. We'll see what happened with Rebecca's family. But she obviously didn't feel welcome with her family. And she thought that she had found that with Reva. And specifically from Andy. So, yeah. Who knows what Andy's going to do about this, though. He has his first girlfriend, and she's like Rebecca, so she's no good for him. Like, they're no good for each other. And poor Andy is like, Rebecca is like proud of what she did. She's like, basically saying, I'm glad I killed all those people. They deserved it. They hurt mutants. And Andy is sitting next to her like, she didn't mean to. She didn't mean to hurt all those people. I'm sure it was just an accident. And it's like, Andy, listen to your girl. Like, she's telling you exactly what happened, and she believes in what she did. She doesn't feel sorry for what she did. So she meant to do it. So Rebecca leaves. She's out on the streets on her own. So that's not good for all the humans around, all the human beings around. They should probably be indoors right now because Rebecca is on the loose and she does not fuck with human beings. So mutants, you're safe unless you try to hurt her. Humans, get the fuck out of there because not good for you. And she actually does kill. We see a guy that she killed, and it's so Blink and John discover his body, and it's so bizarre. It looks like a Picasso. If you've ever seen a Picasso painting, how it's like, you know, these really distorted images, and these cube-like images, it's, you know, you've seen a Picasso, you know what I'm talking about. That's what this guy's entire body looked like. It looked like a life version of a Picasso, because his arm is like on his head and his leg is like on his shoulder, and it's freaky looking, and it's a cool effect. I really liked it. So yeah. I like the show making me think about these people in a different way, because I was so ready to dismiss Rebecca as, you know, as the crazy person. And I appreciate that I have to think about her motives a little bit more. And that she does have, like, that she's thinking about these things, that it's not just she's crazy, so we have to wait to see what she's going to do next. So yeah, that's basically the inner circle for this episode. We don't see a whole lot of them. They're looking for Reva through the entire episode. And we do see Rebecca get caught at the end. She's captured by, what's his name? Fade, I believe his name is. I forget his name. But the guy that, I mean, his name should be, I was about to say the guy that fades in and out, but I believe that's his name, Fade. So he captures her at the end of the episode, and I'm guessing that he's taking her back to Reva. So yeah, maybe she'll be back in the next episode, and we'll see what her plan is for Rebecca, and how the hell she's going to fix this, because her plan has completely collapsed. Like, there is no more, like, she cannot turn this around. She can't save this right now. So I wonder how Reva is going to move forward with her plan. I wonder if, like, I feel like Reva is almost on her last legs, because Lorna is not happy with the way things are going. Esme has sort of been, she's been questioning Reva, you know, well, not to Reva's face, but she's sort of been like in the background, seeing what's going on and not being really happy with it. So I feel like we're at the end, by the end of this season, Lorna is going to be the head of the inner circle, and wherever Lorna goes, Esme and, you know, the Cuckoos as a whole are going to go with her too. And I feel like my girl Reva might not make it out of this season, which I'm sad about, because that woman can wear some lipstick. She can wear some black lipstick, which I really appreciate. And I wish I could do that too. It looks, that lipstick looks really good on her. Yeah, let me stop being thirsty and move on to, the underground. We'll save the Struckers and Lorna for last. The underground, which I don't even know if you can still call them the underground, because it just is Blink, Marcos, and John. Now, it's just the three of them. They're barely the underground right now. They are, like, John is starting to to frustrate me, because on the one hand, I get why he feels the way that he does. He feels like a failure. He feels like he failed all of these people that he was supposed to, he was supposed to be leading and protecting, and I get it. But now it's just sort of, he's not willing to think about what his next move should be. It's just, he just keeps moving on to the next bad decision. And Blink keeps telling him, you know, they need to plan. They need to figure out what they're going to do next. And Marcos and John just refuse to listen. And I feel like he thinks that if he can stop the inner circle, if he makes a big move, that it'll be it'll sort of recover all of the losses that he's taken so far. So, and it's like, dude, that's not how it works. You have to take some of these losses and plan so that you can get your win. But he doesn't care about that. Marcos is sort of, those two should not be making decisions together. Marcos and John should not be making decisions together because they'll both follow each other into like the worst thing. They're both just willing to follow each other's bad moves. And I hate that. And Blink is there and they just sort of refuse to listen to her, which is so frustrating. So, and I think the more out of control things get, like they're watching the news, we find out 37 mutants have been killed. Anti-mutant protesters have been urged by, like government officials to stand their ground, which is like really loaded language. So yeah. And what John wants to do is he just wants to track the inner circle now. I don't know what he plans to do next. Blink tells him that, they don't have the ability to fight the inner circle right now. They don't have any allies. The other mutant underground chapters are sort of just throw their middle fingers up whenever John calls. So they can't connect with the other mutant underground chapters. They can't fight anybody. The three of them cannot fight anybody. Like, what is his plan? Like, I don't know, what does tracking them do? And I feel like he can track them at like any time. He doesn't have to go out right now. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of nonsense. He's really into the nonsense right now, and I can't get my head around it. One thing I do want to stress though is that Marcos had better not fix his mouth to question Blink's loyalty ever again, or I'm going to be done with him. So last week, he's asking Blink, or was it the last episode? Whichever episode it was, he's questioning her, why she's so into the erg way of life and the Morlocks, and he's urging John to talk to her because she's hiding something. And I'm like, okay, that's your boy, I get it. You're gonna watch his back, but questioning her loyalty when if she was not loyal, she would not be there right now, because those two are idiots. The fact that she tells John in this episode, like, yo, you're doing the wrong thing. We shouldn't be going out to look for the inner circle. We can't, even if we find them, we can't do anything. But when he's about to go out there by himself, she stops him and she says, I'm going to go with you because, I don't want you out there by yourself. So fuck anybody who's questioning her loyalty. She's ride or die. And while I don't respect the ride or die way of life, she is being loyal to them. So don't ever question her loyalty. Anybody, don't let me catch you out in these streets, out in these Twitter streets when I'm live tweeting this show, questioning my girl's loyalty, because I will go off on you. So they do end up tracking Rebecca, and Rebecca gives them the information. Rebecca feels like she was used by Reva. She calls herself, she refers to herself as a crowbar. She was used like a crowbar by the inner circle to break into the bank. She tells them that Reva, not only did they steal money, they stole some info about a tech company called Regimen. I've never heard of that. Maybe is that in the comics? Maybe somebody can tell me if that's in the comics. So yeah, have no idea what regimen is, why she wants anything to do with a tech company. Is she trying to like, it can't be about more money, because if you like the place they robbed is a bank. You know, you get as much money as you need from the fucking bank, right? You don't need a tech company to help you out. Something really cool that happened when Blink and John met up with Rebecca is how Rebecca using her powers distorts Blink's powers. Like she can see where Rebecca is using her powers, or where Rebecca has used her powers, because she can tell by the way it looks that everything is kind of off. It's really cool. Like you can only see by her reaction to what's going on. She gets disoriented. Like she almost looked like she was going to pass out when she was around, like where Rebecca used her powers. And stupid John is tracing Rebecca, and he doesn't realize that they could have been killed, which is like, okay, you're so like deep into like so singularly focused on tracking the inner circle that you don't realize that Rebecca could have killed them just like out of nowhere. She could have killed them. They walked into like one of her, I don't know what you even call what she does, but she's like manipulating just the air at this point, the matter in the air, and they walk through it, and she could have just killed them right then and there. And the fact that John still wanted to move forward after that happened is like, really? Like, really, my guy? Oh God, that's so annoying. I've been watching Deezus and Mero videos on YouTube lately, so I've been saying my guy a lot. I'm sorry, New Yorkers. That's really annoying, and I've picked up an annoying habit, and I can't control it right now. So just stick with me, everybody. I'm going to get over this. I just have to take a break from them for a while, which is bad because they're about to come back on TV. Whatever. Let me let me keep it moving. So yeah. John and Blink talk later in the episode after Rebecca. You know, he's happy that he found out what regimen actually is. And Blink is like, you know, we could have died earlier, right? You know, she could have killed us. And she tells him to stop pretending like he's immortal, which is kind of what he's acting like, you know, in a way, in that he keeps moving forward. He's not paying attention to the fact that Rebecca could have killed them. And he's just sort of uncaring about his own safety at this point. He's just willing to jump into everything. And Blink keeps trying to warn him. And she tells him he keeps trying to pick a fight that he knows they can't win because he thinks he thinks that he can't die. And she feels like she has to remind him that, yo, you can die. You're not, you know, you're not the immortal one here. You know, well, no, none of them are immortal. So, the fact that she has to keep reminding him that he can die made me think, along with something else that happens in this episode with Reed, that we're going to lose somebody from our main group, this season. I'm calling it right now. I think it's going to be Reed. I think John is a little too important to the main stuff that's going on. But I do think that either John or Reed is going to die. Yeah. I'm so nervous about that. Reed, I'm willing to let go. If John dies, I'm going to be like, no, not Thunder, not one half of my ship, not Thunder Blink. You can't take that away from me right now. You already broke up Marcos and Lorna, and it's looking like they will not be getting back together anytime soon. So you have to, I need my Thunder Blink. Only shippers will care about this. I'm sorry if you're not a shipper, but you cannot take both of my ships away from me. You cannot do that to me. So anyway, that is how the underground ended in this episode. Who knows what John is going to do next, what reckless thing he's going to do next, testing his own mortality, but he's going to do something stupid, and Blink is going to be there to tell him that he's doing something stupid, and he's going to ignore her like they always do. So let's get on to these Struckers, because this is kind of interesting. So they make it to North Carolina. I believe it's North Carolina that they made it to, Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken. They meet Dr. Madeline Gerber, Dr. M if you're nasty, and she recognizes Reed, which I'm like, really? She saw him when he was, the last time she saw him, he was probably like a child. So the fact that she recognizes him either means that Reed looks exactly like he did when he was a kid, or it's just TV magic. And God damn it, my cat. So I'm sorry if my cat is like really loud. He's outside the door and he's being annoying. So Dr. M basically gives Reed a lot of info about his father, about what things were like back when he was being treated as a child. So she gives him a different perspective. She tells him that his father loved him, that it's sort of a distorted perspective, because Reed, I mean, obviously from Reed's viewpoint, his father was abusing him, which I think is the right viewpoint, but you know, you get the Dr. M spin. So she can tell him, you know, how you get her view of what his father was like. And she obviously respected his father a lot. They obviously agreed on this whole suppression of powers thing that was going on. So yeah, I don't know. Like she has like a shady look to me. From the very beginning, she had a shady look to me, so I never trusted anything she said. But she's one of those people that thinks she's doing the right thing, but her methods are questionable. So, what she does there is she treats mutants that have a debilitating X gene, like Reed. And she tells them that the treatment that she gives all of these mutants is tailored specifically for them to, and she doesn't say to suppress their X gene. She makes it sound better when Lauren questions about her about, so you're trying to take away their mutant abilities, and she's like, no, I'm trying to help them live with it. So she's good at the sales pitch of making what she's doing sound good. And maybe to some mutants, it would sound good. To Reed, it obviously does sound good. He's obviously in a ton of pain when his abilities flare up. And he's a huge danger to himself and everybody else around. So, that's a problem. But I don't know. Should the answer be to find something that completely suppresses the powers, or should it be to find something to help these people, to help their powers not be dangerous to them and to others? I mean, obviously that takes that you need a doctor out there that wants to do that. Her answer has been to suppress. We find out that Dr. M's brother is the person that founded the purifiers. And she was so against his way of thinking that she hated the fact that he was hurting people that couldn't control the way that they were. So instead of, instead of doing something to help those people in a way that made her brother see that there wasn't anything wrong with people that had the X gene, there wasn't anything wrong with mutants, her way of helping those people is to help them not be the way that they are. Which, you know, when you have a mutant ability that can be dangerous, is like, maybe that's a good thing. But, you know, in a real life setting, it's like, you know, you want to help gay people not be gay, or you want to help a black person. Well, you can't help them not be black unless you're about that Sammy Sosa life and you want to like put that ambi on and and turn yourself into whatever he is right now. My God, have you seen like the recent Sammy Sosa? I'm sorry for taking a tangent, but I just saw a picture of Sammy Sosa and I was like, oh my God, that dude used to be black. He is now like pink. You know, I don't even know what color. He's like a Pepto-Bismol. He looks ridiculous. Anyway, but yeah, so her idea is sort of in the realm of like, more in the realm of like a gay conversion therapy type of thing. I mean, to equate it to something in real life, it would be more like gay conversion therapy, like help a person that thinks they're gay or a person that is gay not be gay anymore, which, you know, is terrible and should be illegal. But, you know, like when you're dealing with mutants, it sounds better because, you know, we see in this episode, she's dealing with one mutant that has, she's having surges of, like electricity through her body. So she's sitting there with electricity just surging through her body. She looks like she's in a ton of pain. We see Reed, who was also like in a lot of pain when his powers flare up. So, you know, I don't know. There's no easy answer, I guess. I mean, I guess it's all up to the individual, like what they want to do. And obviously for Reed, that is, he wants to suppress his power. So, you know, I guess it's all up to what they want to do. So the one thing I didn't like about this part is that we see sort of Lauren live out her dream, which is this place is sort of like on a college campus type thing. And, you know, she plays Frisbee with a cute doctor, and it's like all sort of, and the whole thing looks kind of dreamlike. The whole time it's happening, the whole time she's out there playing Frisbee, it looks kind of like a dream. The way it's lit and everything, it doesn't look real. So it's sort of like she's living out in this like false reality, which I could have done without. I mean, I love Lauren, but I could have done without the whole Frisbee thing. It wasn't like a big part. I wasn't like, oh shit, I hate this episode, but it was like, come on, like, let's move this along right now. What we do find out is that Lauren and Andy are basically the Fenris twins. You know, Dr. M explains that the Fenris twins, it was almost like they shared a brain, and they shared each other's dreams, and everybody sort of perks up when she says that, because they recognize this is what's happening with Lauren and Andy. We see later in the episode when Lauren is having blood taken that, you know, they can feel each other's pain, because when Lauren is getting the blood taken, we see a shot of Andy, and he starts grabbing his arm because he can feel it. So I wonder what is going to happen with this. I wonder how this is going to resolve itself, because it's obvious they are being pulled. They feel the pull to use their powers together, or so they feel the pull that they need to use their powers together. We hear Lauren earlier in the season say that she liked the feeling of her and Andy using their powers together. So I wonder what this means. Does it mean that Lauren will be pulled over to the dark side, or does it mean that Andy will be pulled back over to his family? Because Andy doesn't seem he doesn't really seem like he's going to budge a lot. Like he still seems like resolute in following Reva. And if I'm right and Lorna takes over the inner circle, I feel like he'll be even more cool with following Lorna. So I don't feel like he's in any position to change his mind right now. So I feel like Lauren is the one that's going to have to make, the decision about where she's going to be, which should be interesting to see Lauren go over to the dark side. It should be really interesting. So what's happening is that Lauren is having blood taken because she has a similar X gene to Reed, and they're going to use Lauren's DNA to create a serum to give to Reed that is a more permanent solution, because he's told in this episode that the original medication that he was giving that suppressed his powers all those years is no longer any good. And if he continues to take that, he'll continue to get the same result, and eventually he'll die. So Lauren has to help her dad out. And she finds out that in helping her dad, if the serum that they make for Reed works, they're going to use the technique they use to make Reed's serum in order to make a serum that would work for, all mutants, or just any mutants who want to take that to suppress their own powers. So we're getting into X-Men, X-Men 3 territory, where you get the shot and powers all gone. I believe Rogue took it in that movie. So this should be interesting, because when it's explained to Lauren, she gets she knows what's happening. Like, she's smart enough to understand that, yeah, I want to help my dad, but in helping her father, she's making something. She's helping to create something that could have a much bigger effect on so many more people. And what happens if somebody gets their hands on this and, they start giving this to mutants, unwillingly. So, yeah. Who knows what's going to happen, but I don't know. This is interesting because she obviously wants to help her dad. Lauren is her daddy's girl. And what's going to happen with Reed? Will Reed be selfish? He doesn't want to die. Will he be selfish is what I want to know, because, I think the worst of the Strucker. So I'm thinking, of course Reed will be selfish. Of course he wants the antidote. He wants to suppress his powers. So will he be selfish? I guess is the question. Who knows? We have to wait and see, but my prediction still stands. I think that Reed is going to be a dead man at the end of the season. And I'm not going to be, I can't even say I won't be shedding any tears, because I have been empathetic, sympathetic to Reed's plight in these last few episodes. Even when he was annoying me, when he didn't want to pay attention to what John was saying, when he, when he was trying to teach him how to control his powers. I understand where he's coming from. He was abused. I completely get it. So yeah, I do have better feelings about, Reed. Still not a Caitlyn fan, but better feelings about Reed. So let's get on to Lorna, because she was sort of the backbone of this episode. We get flashbacks to baby Lorna, little Lorna, living with her Aunt Dane in a farming town. She's doesn't have any friends. She feels abandoned by her father. And they do a thing where they everybody sort of references Magneto. Obviously everybody knows who Magneto is. He's famous. So everybody keeps referencing him. They know that she's his daughter, but they never say his name. So is that is that what they've always done? Like, I can't remember. Have they ever name dropped any of the mutants? I know they name drop the X-Men all the time, but have they name dropped any like specific mutant, like Professor X or Wolverine or anybody else? Have they name dropped a specific character, or is it only the X-Men? Can they not name any character specifically because how characters not owned by who knows who owns characters, but I want to know if I'm like forgetting like a name drop of a character. Doesn't matter, but I just want to know. So yeah, we get to see, she and Marcos talking early in her pregnancy, another flashback. And they talk about how they want to raise their daughter and how they don't want to be like their fathers were. How they were both basically, they both feel like they were thrown away by their fathers. And the only contact that Lorna has with her father as a child is that he leaves a gift on the porch for her 13th birthday. And she keeps it for, forever. And it's a little red disc that is so obviously a helmet, and that she should have, that immediately I'm like, when is she going to stretch this thing out and put it on her head? But she doesn't figure it out until she's like, until she was an adult. So she keeps this disc for like 20 years, or however old she is now. I don't know how old she is, supposed to be on the show, but she keeps this gift, this disc, this red disc forever. And I'm like, have you, like, as long as you've been looking at this, Lorna, you haven't thought, maybe it'd be a good idea if I stretch this out? Like, shouldn't I do something with it? Like, do you really think you really think your father, gave you a piece of metal, just a, random piece of metal? He could have left like he could have left you a quarter if that was the case. Why would he leave you this specifically? Like, Lorna, I'm giving you a break because I'm a nice person. I'm going to give her a break and not say like dumbass. Like, why didn't you think about this? But whatever. So, Lorna finds out pretty early in the episode, after she talks to Esme, they find out that I think it's a school for mutant children, or like a daycare for mutant children, has been set on fire. And they basically decide that it's no longer safe for Dawn to stay with them. And they have to send her somewhere safe. Esme suggests they send her to Switzerland. And that is the plan until she goes to see Marcos. Like, Lorna takes Dawn to see Marcos to say goodbye, basically, and tell him like what she's decided to do. And Marcos, I think rightfully, is upset with her. At first I was really mad. I was like, how can she just make all these decisions for their child and just tell him at the last minute and have him, and he's just supposed to be cool with it. And then I talked myself out of it because I was like, okay, I'm thinking through it. I'm like, it's not like he has no recourse really. He can't go to court. It's not like he can go to court to ask for joint custody. That doesn't exist for them. And he can't take the baby because, let's face it, he don't want that smoke with Lorna. Like, he would get his ass beat so bad. Like, she would really fuck him up. So he doesn't have that recourse. He can't just take the baby. And now that Lorna and Reva and the inner circle have sort of set off this time bomb with Rebecca, the right decision is actually to send Dawn someplace else safe, because she's not safe with either of them. So yeah. So Lorna's bad decisions, created created the situation where she got to make a good decision, where she got to make the right decision. And this decision ultimately is to take her daughter to her Aunt Dane. Um, and Lorna is the other person that gets a different view of their father. Um, like Reed got, Dr. M's view, Lorna sort of figures it out for herself, by having to take her daughter to her Aunt Dane. She gets to see her father's perspective on her own. She figures out that her father wasn't just throwing her away, that he sent her to live with her aunt because it was safer for her. And so, yeah, I think she has a better appreciation for what her father had to do. And yeah, but Marcos and Lorna, all the feelings in this scene where she takes him to see the baby. Yeah, it's so sad. It's really sad that she I don't know, because he tells her that she set the world on fire, and now she's mad that her daughter is about to get burned. And it's like, yeah, Lorna, you did all of the wrong things. Like, you could have stopped. Well, I guess she couldn't have, because she seemed like kind of scared of Reva earlier in the season. I feel like as the season goes on, she's getting stronger. So, and Lorna's a natural leader, I think. Yeah, she's sort of a natural leader. So I don't feel like she's going to be following Reva forever. I feel like we're going to get a lot of the season finale of this is going to be great, because I don't think Reva's going to survive. I don't think Reed is going to survive, and whatever happens with Andy and Lauren is going to be like amazing. I can't wait until the end of the season. So yeah, that is the episode. Baby Dawn is with Aunt Dane. Poor Aunt Dane has the people dropping off their babies for her to take care of. Like, she raised Lorna, and obviously she didn't tell Lorna what my grandmother told me, because my grandmother raised me, and my grandmother told me when I was a teenager. Now she told me and my brother, y'all better not bring no babies up in here, because I raised my babies. I raised these babies. I raised y'all. I'm not raising no more babies. Clearly Aunt Dane didn't give that speech to Lorna, because Lorna brings her baby there. Now, I don't know how old Aunt Dane is, but I know Aunt Dane was probably not out here looking to take care of no infants. And Lorna says she's going to come back. And I'm sure Magneto told Aunt Dane that he was going to come back for Lorna. We know that didn't happen. Poor Aunt Dane, taking care of everybody's mutant babies. Don't have no babies of her own. Just taking care of everybody's stray kids. Oh, poor lady. And that's all I could think about at the end of this episode. I really enjoyed this episode, though. So, I got feedback on YouTube from Alexander Platypus again. And I don't have it pulled up. I'm sorry, but I remember a lot of what you said, and I feel like some of your concerns about Rebecca sort of being the agent of chaos have been, they've explained, what is going to happen with Rebecca, that she's not just an agent of chaos. Yeah, so I feel like they're doing the right thing. Now, Alexander Platypus is still on the side of the inner circle. So I appreciate them for sticking to their guns and not giving up on them. But yeah, I'm not about that inner circle life anymore. I still love Reva, but she should have known better. Like, you don't pick up somebody who's been tortured in a mental facility and just let them loose on the world and think that, you don't have anything to worry about. Obviously, she couldn't have known what Rebecca was going to do exactly. But yeah, I feel like she should have had some safeguards in place just in case Rebecca got out of hand. So yeah, So Reva's going to have to pay the price for that. She's not just going to get away with letting Rebecca loose on the world. So we'll see what happens with her. Because I feel like, yeah, Reva and Lorna are definitely about to come to a head. Because Lorna has not been feeling Reva for the last few weeks. She has been like really questioning Reva, what her plan is, like what she's going to do next. Like Lorna, another one asking about a plan. Reva has a plan. She's not willing to tell the plan, but Lorna's asking about a plan and Reva has one. Blink asks about a plan and everybody else in the underground is like, can you spell plan? Like, do you know what's a plan? Can you define plan for me? Is basically the response Blink gets whenever she brings up plan. So we'll see what's going to happen next. Now, this episode you're going to be hearing on Sunday. I'm sorry it's late. It was supposed to come out yesterday, but I was busy on Saturday. So that means that the Black Lightning episode is going to be out on Monday. And yeah, that's it about the podcast. And so by next week, I should have everything like back on course. Go check out the Why So Serious podcast because I was just a guest on that show. I forget what I'm sorry. I forget what the episode was called, but they also have out a Green Lantern review episode, which is really good. So listen to that. I was on the episode right before that. So yeah, go check those guys out. That show was a lot of fun. I think I say my dude a lot on that show too. So I apologize in advance before you listen to that. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at NerdTravertPod. On Instagram, I'm at The Introverted Nerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. You can send me feedback like Alexander Platypus, and I'll read it on the show because I'll have it all pulled up. I want you to know that I read all of your feedback. Even if I don't read it on the show, I read all of it and I try to respond. So send your feedback to theintrovertednerd@gmail.com, or you can leave it on the individual episodes that are up on YouTube or, Facebook. So if you're following me, leave feedback wherever you can and I will find it and read it all. So until the next episode, everybody, later taters.